There's a moment coming in this video where everything will click. That moment, when you realize why certain people always seem to come out on top, while others keep struggling. Think back to the last time you felt cheated. That moment when you put in the work, played by the rules, and still came up short. Here's the thing. That outcome wasn't an accident. It was predictable. Most of us grow up believing in a simple equation: work hard, be fair, and you'll be rewarded. But look around. The people getting ahead aren't always the hardest workers or the nicest people. They're the ones who understand how the game really works. Studies show that in corporate environments, less than 30% of promotions go to the most qualified candidates. Instead, they go to those who understand office politics best. In relationships, the person who cares less about fairness usually has more power. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago when he wrote that expecting fairness makes you weak. He observed that princes who relied on ideals got overthrown, while those who saw human nature clearly stayed in power. Take Sarah, a marketing director who trained her assistant for years. When a promotion opened up, that assistant went behind her back and took her job. Or Mike, who split a business 50-50 with his best friend, only to get forced out when profits started rolling in. These aren't exceptions, they're patterns. Every time someone gets burned, it's because they assumed others would play fair. What if your trust is your biggest weakness? Powerful people don't operate on fairness. They operate on what works. They know that when resources are limited, people will look out for themselves first. This doesn't mean everyone is evil. It means everyone is human. The sooner you accept that fairness is a story we tell to make the world seem orderly, the sooner you can start playing to win instead of playing not to lose. The myth of fairness keeps good people stuck. It makes them wait for rewards that never come. Meanwhile, those who see the truth take action. They negotiate harder. They protect their interests. They don't expect the world to reward them. They make sure it has no choice. Fairness isn't real, power is. And power goes to those who stop waiting for it to be given. That friend who stabbed you in the back? They weren't the exception, they were the rule. This is exactly what Robert Greene meant in the 48 Laws of Power with Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. The law isn't about paranoia, it's about patterns. Look at any partnership where one person got burned, and you'll find the same mistake. They assumed loyalty was stronger than self-interest. Take the co-founders of a major tech startup who split equity 50-50 based on friendship. When the company took off, one partner diluted the other's shares. Or the musician who let a close friend manage their finances, only to discover years of stolen royalties. These stories keep happening because we're wired wrong. Psychologists call it the default trust bias. Our brains are built to assume people are trustworthy until proven otherwise. That helped early humans survive in tribes, but today it leaves you open to exploitation. Successful people operate differently. Warren Buffett negotiates every handshake deal with legal paperwork. Elon Musk famously said, "It's not about trusting people, it's about structuring things so trust isn't required." They're not cynical, they're strategic. They know that people behave differently when money, power, or survival are on the line. The cost of being too nice is steep. Research shows that managers rated as agreeable earn 18% less than their more assertive peers. The overly trusting get passed over for promotions, lose negotiations, and stay stuck in bad relationships because they fear being seen as harsh. The turning point comes when you realize trust isn't something you give, it's something people earn. Watch how people handle small opportunities before you give them big ones. Notice who takes credit versus who shares it. The best guards against betrayal aren't walls of suspicion, but clear expectations and consequences. Machiavelli didn't say, "Trust no one." He said, "Understand exactly what people will do when their interests conflict with yours, because eventually they will." Here's the bottom line. Friendships can be real, but power dynamics are realer. The people who thrive aren't the ones who ignore this truth. They're the ones who account for it in every deal, every partnership, every promise. They don't wait to get burned. They structure their world so the fire never starts. Here's what happens when you stop expecting fairness and start playing the game. The difference between those who get ahead and those who don't isn't talent or even hard work. It's the willingness to see the world without illusions. Naive optimism assumes that good intentions will be rewarded. Pragmatism recognizes that results come from strategy, not wishes. Consider two employees up for the same promotion. The first one works late, helps colleagues, and trusts that merit will be recognized. The second one identifies the decision makers, aligns their projects with leadership's priorities, and subtly highlights their contributions in meetings. Guess who gets promoted? A Harvard study found that professionals who strategically manage their visibility receive 60% more advancement opportunities than their equally skilled peers who keep their heads down. Real power comes from understanding the rules of the system you're in. Take contract negotiations. Novices focus on price alone, while strategists consider leverage points, deadlines, alternatives, and the other party's pressures. A startup founder shared how they secured better terms by stalling talks until the investor's quarterly deadline approached. This wasn't manipulation. It was using information both parties had to reset the balance of power. Facing harsh truths builds a different kind of resilience. Research on combat veterans and top executives shows the same pattern. Those who accept that setbacks are inevitable, not unjust, recover faster and adapt better. When a deal falls through or someone betrays you, the pragmatist asks, "What does this teach me?" While the idealist stays stuck on, "Why is this happening to me?" The transformation happens when you shift from seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances to a strategist navigating them. A graphic designer tripled her income after realizing clients would always push for lower rates, so she started presenting her highest price first and letting them negotiate down to what she actually wanted. A salesman stopped complaining about tough prospects and began studying their objections as data points to refine his pitch. Power doesn't come from positive thinking. It comes from precise thinking. Map the actual forces at play in your situation, who has influence, what they want, where the pressure points are. Adjust when people surprise you, but never be surprised when they act in their own interest. The game doesn't change. Only your willingness to play it with your eyes open does. The world doesn't change just because we wish it would work differently, but your understanding of it can, starting today. Every assumption you've been taught about fairness, about loyalty, about hard work being enough, those aren't truths, they're choices. And right now, you're choosing whether to keep believing them. Here's the reality. Power follows strategy, not wishes. The longer you wait for fairness to show up, the more opportunities you lose to those who stopped waiting years ago. Question everything you've been told about how the world owes you something. It doesn't, but you owe it to yourself to stop losing. If this opened your eyes, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and turn on the bell so you never miss the next strategy. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay sharp.